There's really no reason right now for me to be reviewing Mad Max, the video game. It was forgotten when it came out, it's pretty much forgotten now, and any and all hype around the Mad Max franchise by this point has pretty much petered away. It's easy to ask, why am I reviewing this game now? Well, after a solid 49 hours of playing it, and occasionally streaming it and making videos on it and this and that and everything, I finally beat the game not too long ago. And I figure that I just wanted to talk about it, being that I've definitely recommended it to a bunch of people out there, and I see thread after thread or discussion after discussion saying that it's an underrated gem. The best way I could talk about Mad Max, if I had to wrap it up into one nice condensed package with a little bow on it, is that it's like a toy that your parents give you when they don't want you making loud-ass noises while they're trying to have a big boy discussion. It's there to keep you preoccupied, it's there to while away your time, and you've got enough of an imagination and inventiveness going into it that you never really get bored of it, but at the same time, it is in fact a time waster. Nothing it gives to you is going to cause you to learn something new, cause you to feel something you haven't felt before. Nothing here is revolutionary. Nothing here is brand new. Nothing here is gripping. Nothing here is even really inviting, honestly, compared to other games that are out there on the market and other similar properties. For example, Mad Max came out when open-world action games were pretty much the trend in gaming. Everything was open world, everything was this third-person kind of explore and collect-a-thon. Every series was trying to capitalize it that was even remotely related to it. Now, alongside Mad Max, we have Metal Gear Solid 5: The Phantom Pain. They came out on the same exact day, meaning that Mad Max stood abso-fucking-lutely no chance of making any sales. And I'm part of that crowd. When Mad Max and Metal Gear 5 were released, I bought Metal Gear 5. I didn't even consider Mad Max, and I played Metal Gear 5 for, I think, 167 hours? I'm not checking, but it was more than 150 for sure. So the fact is that Mad Max did preoccupy my time, but I believe it's only because I wanted it to preoccupy my time. The idea is that Mad Max is a game that lays out all the Lego bricks for you. Imagine that you want to build a castle. Or hell, we can go to the Mad Max theme. Imagine you want to build a sports car, an amazing sports car. Mad Max is the guy who walks into your mechanic shop. He gives you an amazing engine. He gives you some decent brakes. He gives you alright tires. He gives you a great racing seat. He gives you a bunch of stuff that you don't even need, like spoilers and stickers and shit, and he just throws them all in a big pile and says, alright, have fun. Here you go. Good luck. Bye-bye. To some people, this is tedious. To some people, this is seen as labor. This isn't seen as relaxing. To me, I really enjoy open-world explorathon games. This game comes from WB, the same people who make Shadow of Mordor series and the Batman Arkham series, and I absolutely love those series. I love running around as Batman or, I don't know, Lord of the Rings Batman, whatever the fuck his name was. Just finding bits of the lore and side quests and Easter eggs and fun shit to do and having a fun story that you can do at your own pace. And those games do it amazingly. The problem is that Mad Max not only doesn't do anything new in this genre and formula, but what it does do really well isn't as good as its predecessors. I always go to examples on this game. I keep relating it to other games, because the problem is that Mad Max seems to borrow from everything, but not bring anything new to the table. For example, in the Batman Arkham series, there's an amazing combat system. The movement as Batman is great. The implementation of the Batmobile, though controversial, is pretty good. Everything feels like Batman. The Shadow of Mordor series, the combat is even more in-depth. There are 1.5 billion ways to kill an orc in that game. It's satisfying and flows great, and you feel like a old-style medieval badass swapping around swords into fucking throats of green monsters. Mad Max focuses on car combat, vehicle combat, vehicular combat, and it does it great. When you're chasing down enemy convoys to get their hood ornaments, or when you have certain death races within the game, those are where the game excels. Those are the absolute best, most fun, entertaining, and thrilling parts of the game. But it's marred with mediocre combat, mediocre exploration, mediocre fetch quests, mediocre this, mediocre that. There's some tasks in the game that are fun to do. There's some tasks in the game that are tedious and awful. And the problem is there's not really a single task that really grabs you up front and says, this is the reason to play this game. This right here. Like I said, the vehicle combat is stellar in this game. Very, very well implemented, but that's just a backdrop to what the actual gameplay is, which consists of use the amazing vehicle combat to drive from point A to point B so you can run around a little tomb and pick up tiny insignificant pieces of scrap or photos or punch a few dudes that you punch for the 30 billionth time. Now, why did I devote all this time to this game? I love Mad Max, and it drew me in. What I will sing to high heaven the praises of this game, for sure, is it captures a world. It gives you a really good built-in feeling of it. The Mad Max feel here is perfect. The names, locations, the way things look, the way characters react, the way everything lays itself out, it is 10 out of 10 alongside all of the other Mad Max established entertainment that I have seen, and I love it. I absolutely love it. I think that if you are looking for a game with a great story, with a great world feel, if you're really looking to engross yourself into these characters, now do some role-playing. A lot of people out there like a game that I hate, Skyrim, because they say, oh, well, you know, I just get lost in the world and whatever. This, I think, is a great game for that. There's just so many small little pieces that they put towards this game that give you that little bits here and there of just feeling like they really tried to make a big, sprawling world of Mad Max come to life. And I think they really succeeded. I touched on the story in that argument, and I think the story is incredible. I think that if you know it's a Mad Max title, maybe in the grand scheme of everything, the story might be underwhelming to some people, but if you go in knowing that Mad Max is about hardship, it's about survival of the fittest, it's about dirty, griming, overall unpleasant things, and the fact that no one at the end of the day is a real winner in this world, you're gonna love it. If you have seen Fury Road or any of the Mad Maxes, or you get what it's about, you just know in the back of your mind that, hey, this is what I'm gonna be watching. This is great. The plot is one of my favorite in games that I've seen for a while now, but that is with the stipulation that it is in the Mad Max universe. It's more so my elation over they nailed what I think the feel of the game should be when it is based on an existing property. Scoring Mad Max, I would give it a 3 out of 5. It's a really hard-hitting 3. It's not bad. There isn't really anything that's bad or genuinely undercutting in the game. The exploration gets tedious, things get repetitive, but you can look at that as saying there's just a lot of content in the game and you can play it at your leisure. The game has very strong points to it. The story is phenomenal, the characters are phenomenal, there's a lot of good polish, but the problem is that you're polishing an old jalopy with an engine that goes maybe 35 miles an hour, to stick with the racing metaphors. There's just not a lot of substance, there's not a lot of depth, there's nothing new it brings to the table, and there's nothing really racking the pleasure centers of your brain when you play it. If you're going to get into this, if you want to explore the world of Mad Max, or you just like open world action games, I highly recommend that you stick to the main and side quests for the most part. The exploration stuff, such as the collectathons, the taking down bases, you can do those if you want. They're still fine, but I believe that after a certain point, and everyone's gonna be different on it, they will absolutely get tedious. And there will be no doubt that you won't want to do them anymore, and this is not a game where I recommend you push yourself to do them, because the reward for that is not... It's just not worth it to me. But the main story, the side quests, all the major beats of the game I think are absolutely worth exploring. Don't pay full price for this game. If you can get it on sale, I highly recommend that. I've heard that you can find it for as low as like $8 on Steam occasionally. Pick it up in that case. Give it a good amount of your time, but not so much that you start to hate it, because it is a game that can easily turn on you. I personally enjoyed it. I think there is a large audience out there that might think it's a bit empty. But that's just my opinion, and if you want my opinion on something else, let me know in the comments. Goodbye.